Right.
All right, good morning. Thank you for allowing me to interview you today.
Yep.
My name is David, and this interview is for an assignment in my communication research methods class. I will be asking you questions about your student experience at Missouri State. The interview should last approximately 20 minutes. With your permission, this interview will be video recorded for later viewing so that others and I can assess my skills as an interviewer. Do I have your permission to video this interview?
Yep.
Do you have any questions before we get started?
I do not.
All right. Very quickly, could you state your name and the year you were in school?
My name is Taylor Homeyer, and I'm a junior at Missouri State University.
All right. And what is your current major?
I'm actually a psychology and communications double major. Whenever I came to the university, I wanted to do psychology and math, but I realized math wasn't right for me after I took some math courses here. But I stuck with psychology, and then second semester of my sophomore year, I took Com 205 with Dr. Wood, and it introduced me to communications, and I fell in love with it. So I picked up a minor in communications, but then after a few weeks, I decided to just go ahead and make that minor a double major. So I'm now a psychology and interpersonal communications double major.
All right. And what is your current major?
I do not have a current.
You don't have.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Just to get the ball rolling, did you talk to others about this major before you made a decision?
Yeah. Whenever I came through orientation in the summer of 2010, before my first semester as a freshman, my orientation leaders were actually psychology majors, and whenever I told them I wanted to do counseling in the future, they said psychology would be a great way to set yourself up for that. It has everything that you need to do before you enter a master's degree in counseling. As my career ambitions have shifted from doing counseling at like master's level to student affairs, which helps out students as they go along in their college career, and as my major went from psychology and possibly math to psychology and communications, I talked more with my advisors and my peers about like what they've done, because I have friends who do student affairs, and they say this is the best way you can do it, because with student affairs you can get any kind of degree at the undergraduate level, and then you can go on to student affairs at the master's level.
All right. If you could have any sort of job, like what would be your absolute dream job? Like there's no monetary like issues with that. What's your absolute dream job?
Ooh, an absolute dream job. I kind of have two. I would absolutely love to be like a dean of students someday. I think it'd be cool to kind of be like the head honcho at a university, kind of do like the operations behind the university, just because they're kind of like really respected and looked highly upon. And with student affairs and higher education, like getting a master's degree in that and then getting like a doctorate in that, or like school administration, that's like the ultimate level of where I could actually go. So that's my first dream job. And my second one would probably be to be a doctor. I always thought about being a doctor when I was younger, but then as I got into high school and actually had to deal with blood, I said, hell no, because I can't deal with the blood or the like cutting open of people. So I went ahead and said no to that one. But if I did have a queasy stomach, I would definitely be a doctor.
So when you were a little kid, was that like your dream thing, being a doctor?
Yeah, I was really interested in the health professions going through high school. I took chemistry and I took like anatomy, I took biology, and as I came into school, obviously my career ambitions had shifted, but probably about my junior year of high school, that's whenever it changed. But I'd always thought about like, oh, it'd be really cool to be like a health professional, or be a doctor, or be like a neurosurgeon, or something like that, where I make a ton of money and I can help people out like that. But the more I thought about it, I was like, no, probably not for me.
And you said that you were in your third year, you're a junior
Yes.
in school, all right? Of your 3 years of school that you've attended so far, what has been the most changing experience that you've had on campus, like personal change that you've developed?
Okay, I would actually say, wow, I have to say my sophomore year, so last school year, in the fall of 2011, I was actually in the marching bands here at Missouri State, and I also rushed a fraternity. So I was a sophomore and rushing a fraternity, and so I was really busy with going to class and then having the extra responsibility of being a band, and then the added-on responsibility of going through the recruitment process and then going through the educational process of my fraternity. And that kind of shaped me because it taught me time management really well, and how to focus on 3 different things at once but being successful. And I had a really good GPA that semester as well. So it wasn't all for naught. I did really well. And then the second semester of my sophomore year, I was actually a resident assistant at Hutchins House, and it kind of taught me even more responsibility and time management with having to oversee about 25 to 30 residents who lived on my floor, and helping them out in their daily life and seeing what I could do to assist them. So during my sophomore year, I learned a lot about time management, but more about responsibility and like taking action for myself and for other people, and seeing what I can do to help those people.
And you were in band?
Yes.
What instrument do you play?
I played trumpet. I started playing trumpet in 6th grade. And so I played 6th grade all through my senior year of high school. And I did marching band from 9th grade until my senior year of high school. And then whenever I came to the university, I got a scholarship to play in the band. And so I marched trumpet my freshman and sophomore year in the marching band.
And you're no longer in band?
No. I absolutely loved band, but it took way too much time and energy, and I had other things I wanted to do to preoccupy my time. I just didn't want to be that person that is running around all the time just doing band, so I found something else to do. So.
While you were deciding on your major in college, and you were deciding on double major, are there any classes that you took that you regret taking or wasting time on?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. There's a couple. I took BMS 110 this spring semester of my freshman year, and as you need like a lab, a science lab to graduate, I shouldn't have taken a class that was that difficult whenever it wasn't necessary for my major. I could have taken like a blow-off class, but I mean I ended up getting a B. It's just a lot more work than I should have done for my major, so I kind of regret taking it. I learned a lot, obviously, but it kind of just pushed my boundaries a little bit more than I wanted to, especially whenever I was focused on other things. There's that class. Media 120 is a class that's required for the comm department, so I had to take it, obviously. It was really difficult. A lot of paper writing. The tests I thought were stupid, like stupid hard. I mean, I got an A- in that class because I worked my ass off, but it wasn't bad. I ended up doing a lot better than I thought I would. It's just a class that I really wish I wouldn't have taken. Let's see. I think that's really it for classes I regret taking.
Are there any classes that you wish you could take that might not be relevant to your major but won't waste your time on?
Right. There are actually 2. Human sexuality is actually a psychology course, but I think it's defined as like an elective. And I think in order for me to graduate on time next May, I have to take like a full course load in the fall and in the spring. I don't think I'll be able to fit human sexuality in. I just heard really great things about it. And, every time I've gone to register, even as a junior, the class has been completely full. So I haven't had the opportunity to actually get into that class. So I'm going to talk with my advisor actually today and try to figure out where I could possibly fit that into my schedule. And then the other class, which a lot of people have heard about, is really great, is wine tasting. It's actually offered in the spring, and for people who are 21, I turned 21 last summer. So, I mean, I've heard stories of people who go and they drink a lot of wine and just get piss-ass drunk. I don't necessarily want that to be me, but I want to be able to enjoy like something like that while I'm in school. And, like 20 years ago, like, oh yeah, when I was in school, like, I really focused on my grades, but I actually took this wine tasting class and it was really cool. So.
All right. So I know from previous interactions that you're in a fraternity. What has been, I would say, your most positive and most negative experiences?
Okay. I'll go ahead and start with the most negative, just so I can end on a good, on a better note. Last spring, said, I was a resident assistant in Hutchins House. And so, as a little teaser, there was some underage drinking involved. The Saturday night before the Super Bowl is kind of like the weekend that Bud Light Platinum hit the market. And for people who don't know, like Platinum is a beer that has like more alcohol than other beers. And so I was watching the Mizzou Kansas basketball game at a brother's house, and we were just hanging out and drinking. And so I actually got a 12-pack of Platinum. And so, without knowing that the alcohol per volume was much higher than other beers, I ended up drinking about 9 of them with some whiskey in about a 2-hour span. So, drinking a lot, way too much. And then, as we moved from their house to a place where like a party was actually going on, it was about 10 o'clock, and I ended up just sitting on a couch and throwing up all over myself at about 10:30. Terrible experience. So I had to be taken back to my room, mind you, as a resident assistant. And so I get back to my room at about 11 o'clock, 11:30, around that time. My girlfriend at the time is like freaking out and calling me, but I ended up falling asleep in my shower with the shower on for 3 hours, and coming to in the middle of the night and being, what the hell happened? And so I ended up falling asleep and woke up, and people told me of like things I did and stuff, and what ended up happening. I was like, yeah, I ended up falling asleep in my shower. Like I woke up and the shower was running, and I had no idea what was going on. So that was a really terrible experience. But like on the flip side, it really taught me like my limits, and I haven't really drank that much actually since then. So it's actually kind of like corrected my ways and told me like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that because it's not a very good idea. So that's like my bad negative story, but probably my most positive story. I was actually recently elected president of Theta Chi Fraternity, which is a big responsibility. So I get to like oversee all the operations of the chapter. And I think it's going to teach me a lot about myself and a lot about what I can do for the chapter. So I'm excited to see what I can do in that capacity. So.
All right. What sort of values do you hold that you believe have helped you succeed while on campus at Missouri State?
Okay. One of the biggest values I have is, regardless of what I get involved in, what I decide to make myself busy with, is that my schoolwork comes first. I've always done really well as a student, and that's something I take pride in. And my dad and I have talked that no matter what happens, grades come first, because I'm here to get an education, and if things get in the way, then I have to reconsider why I'm doing those things. So one of my biggest values is just sticking with my education and making sure I can do like the best I can, because obviously like my GPA and how well I do in classes is going to reflect on my grad school application, and then whenever I try to get a job, they'll probably look at that. So I want to just do the best I can to make myself seem better in a positive light. So besides that, I think another good value I have is being outgoing. I know it's a value to have. I guess it's a personality trait, but trying to meet as many people as possible, getting to know them, because we all come from different places and have different experiences, and I want to kind of experience all those things.
All right. And where did you attend high school?
Yeah, I'm from Bentonville, Arkansas, so I went to Bentonville High School. Huge high school. I remember you telling me earlier that your town was about 9,000 people, but my high school was about a third of that. Whenever I graduated, there was 3,200 kids that went to my school. I think as of now, there's probably about 3,600 students that go there, because the freshman class just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I actually graduated with 650 people, and I ended up having a 3.98 GPA, but I was only like 48th in my class out of 650. So to put that in perspective, there's a lot of students that I graduated with that were really smart.
It's impressive. What sort of experiences did you have in high school that you can relate to your experiences at Missouri State?
Yeah, my senior year of high school, like I said, I was in marching band, but I was actually the drum major. And for people who don't know, like the drum major is kind of like the leader of the band. They are the people who conduct the band at halftime. And so our high school band was about 250 people. And so as a senior, I got to oversee the freshmen through other seniors that were there. And it taught me a lot about myself and how like my leadership style and how I can direct people, literally and figuratively, of course, and how I can be like a positive influence on my peers, directing them in front of 9,000 to 10,000 people every Friday night.